in to DJNTV Live with your host, Brian Esred.
All right, we are back for session number 2 tonight, where we're going to be talking about all those little things that you were thinking about last night whilst you were getting ready for bed. You were brushing your teeth and you were thinking, hey, if I only had an answer for this problem, my tomorrow would be a better tomorrow. Well, you're in luck. We're here to answer those questions.
Hello, everybody.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
We'll see.
So, it's been a crazy, crazy afternoon here today. And we're going to start talking about that because, well, that's just the way it is.
All right.
So there's this, and Brian, I think I've even mentioned this place. This guy over about an hour and a half from us has got this incredible collection of vinyl.
Okay.
He had, at one time, he had about 80,000 records in this basement.
Wow.
And what he did is he's been pulling things out because he has a problem. There's no other way to describe it. So he's been pulling records out and sticking them in his closets in his home because he's basically selling out this fitness center in the front and record collection in the back.
Wow.
So this is ending. He's going to be shutting the doors, and I wanted to make sure I got there. So that was my afternoon. As I drove, I think it's 80 miles one way to go and do a crate digging expedition this afternoon.
Nice.
Crazy. I ended up buying 40 albums, and let's hang on a sec. I got to grab. I think this is one.
Now, you got LPs primarily, or
yes. Everything was LP.
Okay.
And there's this particular because we're in Minnesota. We need to first kind of talk about how white the record collection was. I was thinking, I'd go in there and I might be able to find something, that was kind of Motown-ish, or maybe something that came out of, that Minneapolis sound, that Prince
right.
and such. No, there was one track, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World is the only thing from Prince. Then the next kind of thing closest to that was my Expose album.
Freestyle, yeah.
And then after that, it becomes, the Pat Boone stuff of the world.
Typical crate dig stuff, yeah.
It was just incredible there. And this particular guy when albums were starting to go out, what he did is he went to some of these wholesale places, and he was buying the mass quantity. So the Huey Lewis album, the Perfect World album, which was a dud. There's just no way around it for those of you who are Huey Lewis fans. He had bought 1,500 of them for like pennies. Then the album, it wasn't Picture This, it wasn't Sports. There's another one.
Who needs 1,500 copies of anything?
Well, here's where he won. He also, in that same purchase, he bought 1,500 copies of Fore, F-O-R-E, from Huey Lewis.
Okay, yeah.
And that one was a little bit better. And that particular one, for some reason, was popular. So he put that one up on eBay. And he sold all 1,500 or so, or just about all 1,500, because I picked up one today because I didn't have that album. And he bought those. He said he paid $3 for all 1,500 of those from that wholesaler because they were just trying to get them out of their. So he bought them, and he said I averaged selling them for $10 a piece plus shipping.
Oh, geez.
So
he made a killing.
He made a killing on that, and I guess that's the way it is. You were going to make a killing.
He should have gave away a copy of The Perfect World
for that
with every purchase of 4.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah, and then charge me shipping on it.
And then he was, of course, wanting to, we're talking about Huey Lewis because he saw I had a couple of those in my stack. And he was saying, yeah, that Sports was, I wish I would have had 1,500 of those because those were a really hot album. And as I was going through, I bought a factory. I think mine was from the UK, but it was a sealed version of Sports. So I have basically one in mint condition.
Nice.
He said I wanted to have another one. So he had a couple there, so I would open it up and I'd look at it, and you're seeing the scratches and scuffs on it. It's like, oh, put it down. And then in the back of one of the crates, it was just, I was in this, and it's like, oh, here's Bette Midler, and here's Barbra Streisand, and here's Keith Kristofferson, and here's old-time polka songs and the best waltzes forever. And right in the back was a copy of Sports, and I pulled it out, and the album looked flawless. You couldn't see fingerprints on it. You couldn't see scratches or anything on it. And it's like... that's so now I have 2 copies.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was pretty.
You
happy.
want doubles?
Yeah, because then you
don't need 1,500s, but doubles are good.
So this is actually something I've been kind of toying around when we're talking weddings, and we'll get more into the wedding stuff. But one of the things that I have I wanted to put together is the idea of doing kind of a retro dinner time where instead of doing, just have the music going, I want to go actually have the turntables set up and to be out there spinning on the turntables during the dinner time. And I've got a couple of weddings where the couples are kind of wanting to go into that 20s and 30s feel where they're going to be dressing up in that kind of gangsta, that whole
Flapper.
The flapper,
thing.
thank you. I was trying to think of that. And as I'm going through, it's like
Roaring 20s.
They had a couple of different. I think I've got,
It's funny that you pull that record out, as I say, Roaring 20s.
yeah, precisely. And they had, I think I've got 6 different albums that were kind of based on some of the 20s music and such. And some of it I'm sure is good, and some of it's probably crap. But it's like if a person had that theme, because I actually had a couple probably about 5 years ago that had that theme of wanting the Roaring 20s theme, and it was tough to find music.
Yeah.
So you go back to some of these albums that were some of these albums were like from the 50s that we are finding today, the late 50s, early 60s. And granted, I didn't buy any of those, but they were, gosh, there's some old things out there that have old music. And I was really looking at, it's like, should I buy this? I don't recognize any of these songs. It just says it's old Irish jig songs. And it's like, well, can I find a use for old Irish jig songs? Probably not. But boy, this is an old album.
Right.
Instead of being the larger LP, it's like small, but it still says, long play, 33 speed. And then on one of the albums I was looking at, it had on the side where it talked about the different frequencies, and it was saying that this album covers the whole spectrum of human hearing, all the way from 30, whatever the heck they referred to. They didn't refer to it as hertz, but they were the something,
right,
and then all the way up to 16,000, and it has the full fidelity for the human hearing. It's like, okay,
nice.
I mean, at that time, that was probably cutting edge technology.
Hi-fi.
Yeah,
That's what they called that. Hi-fi. The record story I have today isn't nearly as interesting as yours, unfortunately.
Howie asked go ahead. I'll come back to Howie's.
No. I can't even see chat tonight. But the record store moved from kind of the fashionable East Side, and if you don't know what that is, that's where Laverne and Shirley lived. If you ever watched that show, it was their neighborhood. A record store moved from there to my neighborhood, and I've been meaning to get to it. And I went over there today, and turns out they're closed on Tuesdays. So that's my record store story for today. Yours is better.
Yeah. Okay, so Howie asked if there were some that cut corners and holes drilled in them. I don't think any of them that I purchased,
Cutouts.
but some of them, I noticed some of them had notched corners, and there were some of them that had a little hole drilled in a corner. What does that signify? I remember at one time that it meant something when we were buying.
It's cut out. It's like they can report it as a loss because it's damaged and sell it for less than what I think they had established as basically what would be MAP, minimum advertised price, from authorized record sellers, is what the deal is with that. So like if they did that a lot. Like if there was like, oh, wow, we just made 50,000 copies of the new Donny Osmond album that nobody wants. I guess we'll just go ahead and buzzsaw them, and then we'll just, sell them for pennies and write them off because they're damaged. They're not perfect. They're damaged. So you write them off, and somebody else can buy them as a lot, kind of like your guy did with that crappy Huey Lewis album, and sell them for $1 a piece or whatever. They're called cutouts.
He was talking about a local Minnesota band. When I'm doing weddings in a certain part of the state, I will have people asking for songs from this band. And people who grew up listening to that band, they were about our age, and that band was very big in that geographic region. Well, they never put out a CD. They didn't do any of that. So I've been forever, I've been like, oh man, if I could only find one of their albums or find a way to get it. No one knew. Well, then I'm talking to this guy today, and he brings up, he goes, yeah, I had these really, really, exclusive albums. He goes, they only pressed 500 of them, and he goes, I for some reason ended up with 75 of them from this band, and I when he mentioned the name, it's like, oh my god, do you have one? I'll buy it. He goes, I ended up selling those things. The first ones sold for $10 a piece. Then after the first 5 I went up to 25. Then I went to 50, and then he sold the last. I think he said the last 20 of them for $100 a pop from this local band, and of course they're all gone. Because they were a limited run, and he had the most of anyone out there. So sometimes you win in that world, but sometimes you don't. So yeah,
It's all just fun.
yeah, it was.
It's all fun stuff.
It was definitely kind of a fun thing, and zipping through there and seeing so many different things, and some of the albums in which it's like, oh yeah, I remember that as a kid, and oh yeah, I remember that one, and yeah, so that was fun. So tonight we're going to talk about getting the idea of doing a wedding and doing the procedures for a wedding specifically. And tonight we're going to focus on kind of more of the sales call situation, where we have somebody calling for information and trying to really start to put together a package bid quote price vision for our customers. Is that a good way to say it, Brian?
Something like that.
I think so. Yeah. Trying to get that vision, creating that aura. Yeah. I like that.
We were going to do, I was going to play the potential client on one of these, and then John's going to play the potential client on the other one. We haven't discussed any of this. So I'm just going to be me, but he doesn't know me. Then he's going to be whoever he is. And we're going to see what we can do with these people. Are we talking like phone?
Yeah, we would be. I'm thinking, because that's really what most of my conversations. Obviously there's the email ones that come in, but a lot of it is still people calling.
So it's a phone lead.
Yeah. Ultimately, even if it's an online lead, there are many times where it's like, oh, when's a good time to call? And
right.
So from our situations, we would most likely know the date of the event, and maybe know the venue because they have contacted us and said, hey, do you have this open and how much do you cost? And then we would follow up with I'd love to talk to you more and be able to help you out. What's a good time to call? So this would be basically from us taking it at that point now where we have called and we've gone through the pleasantries of saying, hi, how are you? Great. It's a wonderful day. Did you see the awesome thing Howie's going to be doing on video? And they'd be like, yeah, man, that was so cool. Can you believe batteries out in the forest park? And then once you've gotten through all that, now we're ready to start talking business.
Okay. So are you going to
just jump?
Be the DJ first?
Yeah. I'll be the DJ first. That'll be fine. So just jump in, and we've just finished up all the pleasantries, and now you've got your first. And we just finished up talking about Howie and that combined experience where we're trying to basically kind
small
of
talk's over. Now we're down to
the
bread and butter, the brass tacks.
Yes, we're at that point. So, and we just wrapped up again all that. So you can take it for where would you basically you're now to the point where you're going to be asking your first question. As far as the price,
I don't know what to ask. I'm the client. So we can. We're having a reception on May 2nd of 2008 at the barn that in Gray Eagle or whatever the hell you live is.
Oh, that's a beautiful establishment. We really are you going to be working with Sandy at the barn?
This is the only task that I've been given.
Oh.
My wife and her mother are taking care of most of this. And we got your name through someone my wife works with. I guess you're going to be, I don't even know who it is, but I guess you're going to be doing the wedding for them coming up here in December. And they said that, we should give you a call and talk to you and see if you could help us out.
That sounds great. We can definitely talk about different ideas and such. And it's probably going to be some of the questions that might be a little bit tough because what you're thinking about and what she's thinking about might be two completely different things. I mean, it kind of happens.
Well, I've been given one task, and I'm really going to try to nail it here. I don't have to do much. They've really taken this over, but she said, this is one thing that you can do. If you could handle this and make sure that, this is taken care of, then they do everything else. And I'm down with that. I mean,
nice.
It's her day, really. Whatever she wants is fine. I just want to make sure that we have some entertainment there.
We have some entertainment. We want to make sure we do it and do it right. So that way you're going to look like a rock star. And if you look like a rock star in front of your new wife, she's going to think, oh, he is the man. Yeah, we want to make you look good.
I mean, how much is something like this going to cost to come in and DJ a wedding reception?
Well, let's kind of find out a little bit more information about some of the things that you guys have been talking about, and that's going to help me to give you a better kind of a range or maybe even an accurate quote, because there's just so many spinning potential different items when involved with
what would be something that would make it cost more, I guess?
Well, it's it can, if a person's running an unusually long day, as an example, if there's a lot of different little components to the day. Some couples are wanting to have a very elaborate experience where they're doing a lot of really cool things that are customized, and it just takes more time to put them together. And some couples are really wanting just to have kind of that really kind of a simple yet elegant event where you're not really doing a lot of different things with a lot of different spinning components into the wedding day. So just let's kind of go through a few things and kind of figure out exactly what you guys have been talking about. So you mentioned that the reception is going to be starting at did you say 4:00?
Well, roughly. I mean,
Yeah,
we're going to be eating at 5,
okay.
and I think we can come in at 4. I think that's what she said, that we could have guests come in at 4.
So you'll have your guests will be coming in during that kind of time. And I know at the barn that they really like to have the entertainment and such set up in advance, and they like to have the room set for a kind of an opening where when the guests come in, that everything's set, the lighting is set just right, and that there's kind of a mood music, background music going, so that way your guests come in and they're like, wow, this is just a really beautiful, elegant place. And I'm guessing, since you guys went with the barn, that's probably something that your fiance is probably really wanting to have, that kind of look and feel, because that's such a unique place.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, whatever she wants, as her and her mom are kind of doing this, I got nothing. I'm just here for the ride, man. I asked her to marry me, and her and her mom just took over everything else.
Nice.
But I mean, we're paying for it. This is our thing, so it's really important for us to kind of know what this is going to cost us. This is kind of the main thing, right? I mean, we've heard that you're good at what you do, and you're easy to work with, but we just want to make sure that you're within our budget.
Yeah.
For doing a reception like this.
Yeah, that's
So I really need to know kind of what this is going to run us, so I have an idea of what this might run us. So I'll know what to do with it.
Sure.
Make sure that we can bite it off.
Let's kind of look at that time frame. So we'll be doing these, starting approximately 4:00 with background music. The dinner is going to be at 6:00 or so, 5:30, somewhere in that ballpark. Did you guys kind of have a time frame of how long you wanted the event to go to?
I think we can be there until, I think she said 10, because I guess there's, I don't know, some kind of sound rule they have where they can't be noisy past 10 o'clock, or I never heard anything like that.
Yeah,
I don't
yep.
know.
So unfortunately, the barn is kind of a renovated building, and in this particular area, it's in somewhat of a kind of residential area, or they're fairly close, so they have to watch noise ordinances and such, and that's probably what she heard and what they were sharing with that. Now, there have been a couple of instances where they've done some things to go a little bit longer, but it's really kind of been a common practice at a 10 o'clock wrap-up time. So,
Well, I mean, that's fine. I mean, by that time we'll be good and drunk anyway. And that's enough time for me. Like I said, as long as she's happy.
Yep.
As long as she's happy. So do you bring all the lights and do you make announcements and things like that?
Yep, those are definitely some things that can be done, and the amount of interaction or engagement, whether it's making announcements and doing different things, are going to really be kind of based on what you guys are wanting. If you want to have a more engaged, interactive DJ, we can certainly do that. If you want someone that's a little bit more kind of mellow and a little laid back and such, not making the announcements and such as much, we can certainly do that too. I've got different entertainers on staff that really do well at different things. So I have some that are more outgoing.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. We just want, some cool tunes to be played. We can, people can make requests and stuff, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. We can make you a playlist as well.
And that's what
I
was just going to ask you, what types of music, when the two of you are just kind of getting together and just wanting to kind of veg out and you're going to be listening to music, what kind of formats and such do you listen to?
Well, we do a lot of rock, and we do a lot of alternative. We like things like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and stuff like that. But I having said that, I understand that not everyone's going to want to hear that. I know my mother-in-law is not going to want to hear that. They're going to want some of the stuff you hear at every wedding, because this is her big thing. They need this. So I just need somebody to kind of come in and play to whoever's there, make them happy. I really want to make their family happy, just especially her and her mom. As long as they're happy, I'm happy.
Now, To make
So,
them happy, are they looking forward to a dance and having a really active dance floor?
girls like to dance. Guys like to drink, girls like to dance. So we're gonna be drinking, they're gonna be dancing.
And having a
So
good
whatever
time.
I got to do to make sure they're doing that, I got to hire a guy to come in and do it.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just really, as long as you're within my budget, I'd be happy to. Will you sign a contract or whatever? I mean, I can totally do that. I just want to wrap it up so I can have this part taken care of.
Get it all
Yeah.
done. Well, that's
So I can tell her, hey, I handled my part and I'll handle your part.
there you go, and then she'll make. Then you'll be the rock star because you've got it all done and wrapped up and such.
Well, I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying.
So I'm going to put a pause in right here for those of you watching. There's two ways I could take it right at this point in particular time. I could go in, and most likely I would probably now start talking numbers as far as, because we've got an idea, and it sounds like from the conversation with our groom is that I'm probably not going to be getting some of the particulars on the relationship with the father-daughter to know if there's something that could be done with that, and even the wedding party. So some of these things I'm not going to get at this time. So this is one of those situations where having your base package and you've got this, and as some people talk about upsells after the fact, this is probably a situation where basically I would come back and say, it sounds great. Our price for the night for our basic show would run at $1,000 for the night, and get that price, because it sounds like that's something that he really wants, is to get that price, because all the other things, the fluff and all the different things that are going to make the night spectacular in the eyes of his bride are not things that he's really that interested in. So instead of going and asking and continuing going around, I took it a couple of different directions to try to feel if there was a way to go and to really start to bring something out. But it's now become pretty obvious that that's not going to happen. So
I actually think that the character I'm playing needs somebody to come in and just handle all of that. I think he's looking for somebody who he can hire to facilitate all of this.
I think so. And I don't think
whatever they want, you're just going to take care of it.
Just going to take care of it. And that's where
she likes to dance. I don't know what they want, but they need somebody that's good. And you've come recommended. So that's why I'm calling you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where, once I've got to that point where I know I have that feeling that he wants to basically, what's the number, get it done. And it doesn't mean that that number is going to be a small number. It might be that he's wanting to hire someone who's competent, and the competence is more important to him than a reduced price. And I didn't feel that one out. I could have probably tried to feel that out a little bit more. But I think it's to the point now in this conversation where there's enough type A personality in this conversation with this groom that it's time that he needs a number, and then we can move on to either a yes or no. And then once that's done and we're booked, and then a communication would hopefully be there between the two of them, and we would be able to pull more information out. And again, there might be some upsells in a situation where maybe the photo booth part isn't something that. And I was thinking about mentioning and bringing that up, but it didn't sound like this is he's here to hire the DJ. And I'm sure if I'd have said, have you guys thought about a photo booth, it would probably come back with something to the effect of, well, she wanted me to hire music. That's kind of the role of what Brian's been playing with this one. So maybe, and these are all gut calls, just an opinion and such. And you guys are sharing some thoughts in the chat room there. Sean mentioned that I should have started talking price sooner. I don't want to talk price too early. I want to find out a little bit more information, even if it's not specifically to the price quote. I want to get a feel for the person that I'm talking to a little bit more before going and giving a price. Because if I go and just throw a price out there and say that, it might be that maybe they, in this case, Brian might have been having a person who was wanting to test competency and wanted to find out that I knew what I was talking about a little bit and had some thoughts behind that. So that might have been part of that. And I've had that situation before. Yeah, you don't really know. And
I can't see the chat tonight, so I can't respond to any of it, unfortunately. John's, I don't know why I can't see the chat, but I can't see the chat. So
try refreshing the page.
It never works. It just doesn't like me.
It just doesn't matter. Okay.
You hate me, don't you?
It does. So that's that. And we talk price, and then we could continue on from that point of what's the next step. Because from my perspective as the DJ selling the show, is I want to have a next step. So I might come back and say, Brian, it sounds like that our show for the night is going to run about $1,000 for the evening, and that would really give us a nice, fun show where we can take the requests. We can have a fun dance floor. We've got our lighting and everything, and an entertainer in there who's going to really be able to connect well with your crowd.
Well, let's try it again.
So I just did.
You can hammer on me now. Let's see how I do with this.
So and then off we go. So I'm just checking and making sure. So we're going to wrap this area up. And then again, I'm letting a couple of last posts, make sure that there aren't any. Okay, so let's switch things around now. Brian, you can be the DJ, and I will be the one. We know the date.
Let's do a cold call.
Okay.
Those are fun.
Okay.
Let's just make it really challenging.
Right from the beginning.
It's a cold call.
Okay.
Okay, so it starts something like this. Hello, this is Brian.
Hi, Brian. This is John. I'm in the middle of a dilemma here. We need entertainment for our upcoming wedding, and this has been kind of put in my lap. And I was wondering if you would have June 14th open.
June 14th of 2018?
Yes, yep. Next.
All right, let me have a look here. Just give me just a second. All right. Yeah, looks like we've got an opening here. We're looking for DJ?
Yep. We're looking for a DJ. We're going to be looking for a lot of different things at the wedding. I'm just kind of flustered. I've never done this before. I
totally understand. Where are you having your event?
Well, are you familiar with the lakefront there in Milwaukee down there by the?
I live on the lakefront.
Oh, you're kidding. Well,
I'm right in Bayview. I'm right by.
We're going to be probably
South Shore Park.
Yep, we're going to be right there in the park. Actually, we're going to have
the pavilion. Really, that's right behind my house. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're going to be right there. She's got everything lined up. Her family, I guess, grew up in the area and such. We met in college. So this is where we're doing it.
I'm probably the closest DJ to the pavilion you probably could have called. So
that's
just
excellent.
Oddly enough, just coincidence. Now, where are you guys from?
Well, she's from the area there, so her family is kind of in that area that I don't know exactly where you live, but there's kind of a part of town where the houses were kind of beat, kind of rough looking at one time, and they've really kind of turned things over. Well, her family has one of the nicer houses in the area, and myself, I'm from up in Minnesota. We met in college and such, so we are kind of long distance lovers for a while, and now we're going to be getting married in Milwaukee.
Right on. Well, let's put this together for you. Are you doing ceremony or just the reception?
Everything is going to be out there. We're going to be doing the ceremony and the dinner, and of course the entertainment and such will all be out there.
What do you know about times as far as what time dinner's happening, what time the ceremony's happening?
Well, we're
anything?
hoping that we can get the officiant to be able to come in at around 4:00 because we wanted to make sure that things didn't get too long. But we're having a little problem with that, so we might be doing a 3:00 ceremony, and then the timing will happen after that. And I don't know exactly how quickly because she was talking to the photographer, and it's going to be something like that.
I struggle with the word officiant, and it's taken me a long time to master how to say that word, officiant. So that was beautiful what you just did.
Well, I think that's my Minnesota upbringing that makes it so I can pronounce words.
Probably,
so
we're very crass down here.
Yes, we are.
Of course. You know that. Your wife's from here. You
exactly,
understand what we're
exactly.
like.
Yeah,
we're kind of crass.
And she wears that weird green and gold thing. I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either. I'm not a sports fan. I stay out of that. That's between you guys. I don't have a horse in that race. I've been way too preoccupied with music to worry about a bunch of guys playing ball with each other. But, I know there's a Vikings and Packers rivalry, I guess.
Yeah.
It's odd because, we're closer to Chicago than we are to Green Bay here in Milwaukee. You would think there'd be more Bears fans. But what do I know?
You
I
would
just
think
live here.
Her fan is a huge Packer family.
Everybody down there is. They're crazy about the Packers down here. On game day, you cannot go to the grocery store because people are not watching where they're driving. They're not watching where they're walking. It's insane. I'm sure it's like, you got a Vikings thing up there where people get a little weird during game time.
They do.
It's very bizarre here. Let me tell you. But I understand the language you speak. So we're looking at, roughly like a 3:00 ceremony, perhaps 3:00 ceremony at the pavilion. Are you doing this outside or are you doing it inside where the reception's happening?
I think she was saying that they were going to be doing some things outside, and she was talking about a tent. Now, and I'm not sure how this is going to come together.
Sure.
But there was going to be a tent involved because they were pricing out tents. But I think there's going to be some components outside and some inside. So beyond that, I'm not really sure. We're just trying to.
It's real smart if she does a tent because what happens is when you're doing outdoor events, you don't know if it's going to rain or if it's going to be nice out. I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot. So if they have a tent in the plan, wow, you guys are on it. You guys know what you're doing, and I want to work with you. Sometimes people just do open air outdoors, counting on it not raining, and then they don't have a backup plan for when it does rain. So it sounds like you've got your bases covered on that, and that's cool. And I think that pavilion, I think they closed that place up at 10 o'clock, if I remember right, because of the neighborhood noise ordinances.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, 10 o'clock is pretty much capped there. So from 3 to 10, yeah, you're looking at like a 7-hour thing.
Yeah, I think she was talking that somewhere wrapping it up between that 9 and 10 o'clock time frame is what we were using, because she was mentioning that there's going to be another place that we would be then going as kind of an after wedding after party.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, well, we're a party city, that's for sure. And that time of year, there's definitely parties going on. There's festivals. There's all kinds
All
of
sorts
stuff,
of things, yeah, going on.
Yeah. You will not be bored when you come here. You've been here, haven't you?
I have. I've been there, but we don't get down to the lake. Usually when we come in, it's to a family event and, Christmas, and you're coming in, it's cold and who wants to go outside? So we come in quickly, and it's been in and out so often. So
Right on. Yeah, but you'll like it down here. It's a lot of fun. That time of year is a great time of year to come. It's warm, but by the lake you get the nice cool breeze, so it's not as humid as it is inland. It's beautiful down here, and there's things to do. It's a fun side of town to be on, and so perfect. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'd be happy to do this for you. I mean, we're looking at a ceremony plus reception. What time is your dinner?
the idea is we wanted to have the ceremony flow into the dinner, and this is probably something that maybe you would have more experience in this area because you've gone to more weddings than I have. But we were wanting to have it flow now, and I don't know if that would mean starting the dinner at 5 o'clock, or if we would be looking at maybe extending it because we're in such a kind of scenic area and a beautiful area where people might want to kind of walk around for a little while and enjoy the sights before dinner.
What a lot of people do is they'll have their wedding ceremony, and then after the ceremony, it's almost like a cocktail hour kind of thing. And an outdoor cocktail hour at your venue is perfect. It's beautiful. It's picturesque. You got beautiful views of the skyline. So it would be really nice, I would think. I mean, and this is just spitballing here. I'm just throwing ideas out at you. If you had like a cocktail hour immediately following ceremony. So what is your ceremony? Half hour?
It's going to be a little bit longer because we have a couple of family members who are musical or performers. So we're going to have one we're going to be doing a tree ceremony where we're going to be actually kind of potting and planting a tree that we'll be taking and moving back to the house. But we're going to be doing that ceremony, so we're going to have some music during that, and then we're going to do some things with some flowers for the mothers, and that's going to have a song, and then we're going to have a solo early on because we have different siblings and such that are just incredibly gifted musicians, and we want to really be able to kind of feature them. And I suppose, now that I'm thinking out loud here, we might need some help with some of the sound too, because gosh, we want to make sure that everyone can hear what they're doing.
Sure. Well, I can do wireless mics. That's not a problem. I mean, it's all kind of part of the deal when you do the ceremony stuff. The lake is unique, though, because you get a lot of wind off of the lake. And when you're working with the lapel microphones that a lot of people like to use outdoors, they're kind of useless for me anyway, because they pick up so much wind noise. I found that handhelds are much more forgiving. So like a handheld wireless microphone with a wind guard on it would be probably the most ideal situation for up on that hill, because otherwise you don't know what's going to happen. But I do have wireless mics available. It's not a problem. We can definitely work something out for you and your musicians and anyone who's speaking or whatever the case might be.
Sure.
We can totally do that for you. But do you know how long the ceremony is supposed to be?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Are you thinking an hour? Are you thinking a little longer?
40 to 45 minutes is kind of what she was kind of thinking.
Okay, cool. So let's just say it's an hour, just for fun, with everything, with your preludes and all that. If you went an hour, you'd be done at 4. If you had a cocktail hour starting at 4 o'clock, of course, the receiving line outside into cocktails, it flows well. What I'm going to have to do for this is have 2 setups, though, because if we're having cocktail outside at 4, well, ceremony with cocktails following at 4, we're going to need music outside for the cocktails. And if we want to flow nicely, we're also going to need music inside. For me to break down the outside setup and then set up indoors for a 5 o'clock dinner, or tentatively 5 o'clock dinner, let's say 5:30, even with getting everybody in seated, definitely 2 systems are going to have to be put together for this, which is not a problem. We can totally do this. Not an issue at all. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here.
Yeah.
So if you did a 5:00 dinner, and how many people did you say would be attending?
We're going to have around 175. We've been kind of looking at some past advice, and they say you're going to get about half of the people that you invite. So we're thinking somewhere around that 175 range.
Okay, so between around 100. Yeah, okay. And is it sit down or buffet? It's got to be a buffet in there, right?
It's going to be a buffet, yes.
Yeah, sit down in there. How would you do that? I mean, with catering, you're probably looking at, I'm going to guess, an hour and a half to 2 hours for your dinner service. And that includes all of your speeches and toasts and cake cutting and all that kind of stuff, which puts you on the dance floor at around 7 o'clock, 7:30, something like that. And then you can go all the way up to 10. So we're essentially looking at 7 hours of music with 2 setups, the ceremony and the reception. Am I missing anything? Is that pretty much what we were looking for?
Well, she's been seeing some of the different photo booth things that are out there, and she was kind of interested in some of that too. Is that something that you offer, or could you make a
we do
recommendation?
photo booth. We offer photo booth as well. My daughter actually does it. I bought it for her when she was 14. She's 19 now. This is her business, but I can check her schedule and make sure that she's free. And if she's free, we can absolutely do it together. And what's nice about having the photo booth business with the DJ service is that we work as a team. She's not going to have the photo booth open during important things like speeches or toasts or even father-daughter, mother-son dances, first dances, or anything we have going on. She'll close the photo booth for that. And she knows to do that. When I'm working with someone who I've never worked with before, or maybe doesn't want me to take the lead of what they're doing, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the photo booth stays open during things that are important, and it becomes a little disruptive. So, it's nice to have the photo booth in there, too, with what we do as an inclusive package.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we do the lights and all that stuff. I bring the sound that fits the venue. We're going to have a sound system outside and a sound system inside. I'll put 2 systems together that make sense for both particular purposes. And we can do the photo booth, absolutely. Usually that's like a 4-hour thing, but maybe you don't even need to go that long.
You mentioned,
we'll look at it. We'll try to figure it out.
You mentioned the wireless microphone for outside. Will there be a wireless microphone then also for the meal?
Sure. Yeah, we'll have wireless mics for everything, for your toasts, for your speeches. And I can help you guys put all that together in an order that makes sense later on down the road. It's not a problem. We can put a nice timeline together, talk about when everything's happening. And one thing I do want to just throw out there, when I'm doing this stuff, I'm going to suggest things. I'm going to throw ideas out there. Please, I'm not trying to take over. You're the boss on this. I'm only the coach. I'm only giving you suggestions based on my experience. What you ultimately decide to do is what we're going to do. So don't take that the wrong way when I throw suggestions out there on how to structure things. But I do have some good ideas on that and things that make the evening flow well and give you the most time possible for dancing, because we're a little tight on this.
Yeah.
And we want to get out of that dance floor as quick as possible. And I think I can help make that happen for you.
So we've talked about a lot of really neat things, and I really love what you're saying about putting everything together like this. What kind of a price are we going to be looking at for doing everything for the day?
Well, we're talking about 3 separate things. So we have ceremony, we have reception, and we have photo booth. So my ceremonies start at $400 for up to 1 hour. So there's your ceremony right there. And that includes all of the equipment and, of course, performing the ceremony as well, and timeline structure for the ceremony with the wireless microphones and everything we discussed. Now, for the reception part of it, we're starting at $1,000 for the reception. And, of course, once again, that includes all the sound, all the lighting, the setup, everything inclusive with that. So, and then the photo booth, we're going to have to take a closer look at that and see what you're looking at for hours, but I'm thinking we're probably looking at about $550 for the photo booth. But let me talk to my daughter. Let me make sure she's available for you. Let me make sure we can do this for you. And let's get those times nailed down tight so we see. Because if you don't need 4 hours of photo booth, I don't need to charge you for 4 hours of photo booth.
Sure.
And we might not need 4 hours of that, because I don't want that photo booth going on to disrupt anything else you're doing. And if dinner doesn't end until 7 and we're only going to 10, what is that, 3 hours?
Yep. Yeah,
so might save you a little bit of money there. Let me look at that. Maybe we can save you a couple bucks. But yeah, so what are we talking about? So we're looking at
$19.50.
$19.50. Yeah, that's your worst case scenario for something like this.
And you mentioned with the ceremony that it started at $400. Were there any other costs that might factor in with our situation that I
Not
didn't
that I
mention?
can imagine. No, I mean, as long as we're doing just a pair of wireless microphones and the music, no, I'm not even worried about it. I mean, typically the way it works is I'll do up to 6 hours of music for starting at $1,000. That's the price. So essentially, that's what you have because you're getting an hour cocktail outside, plus you're getting 5 hours of dinner music inside, and the other hour is your ceremony, which I'm charging you separate for. So it all works out. Now there shouldn't be any hidden prices here. I mean, I don't see any flaming hoops. We've talked about what's going to be happening. Shouldn't be a problem. We should be able to make this happen for you. And of course, we can sit down and go over the details later and put it all together for you.
Well, that sounds pretty good. I need to, talk to my fiance a little bit about it because I know she's been talking to a couple of other DJs and such also. And we
Sure.
want to make sure
Sure.
that we're coming to a consensus on what we want to do. Is there?
And I did shave a couple bucks off there because it's right behind my house. I mean, what kind of transportation fees can I possibly tack onto this? It's 3 blocks away, right?
Oh, and it's a beautiful area. That it is.
Ah, we like it. We like it. It's fun.
So is there anything as I'm making kind of my notes here to share with her? Is there anything else that have we covered all the bases?
I'm a pretty laid back guy. I'm easy to work with. I mean, this is what I do, and I'm willing to help. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to call or text or whatever. Texting is great these days. That way I can get back to you right away. I don't, a lot of my clients are texting now. It's kind of the thing. Everybody likes to text. So I've kind of embraced it. Feel free to text me anytime or call and answer any questions you have. But yeah, I'm here for you. If you guys have any questions on setup or questions on what everything looks like or options like things like architectural lighting or anything at all, custom gobos, please let me know. Be happy to, and check out my website. I've got a lot of pictures on there. You can kind of see what I do on that website.
And what is that website again?
DJBrianSred.com.
Okay.
Take you right there.
That sounds great. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that, and we'll get back to you here after we've had some time to talk a little bit about it.
Please do. Thanks for calling.
Okay. There you guys go.
That's how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
But usually they want to go ahead and wrap it up right there. Usually that's what they want to do.
Yeah, it gets
After I
tough when you
field
get
all the questions, and I've been folksy because I know the neighborhood. I can kind of talk with them, and they know they can communicate easily with me, and I'm easily relatable. So, or trying to be anyway.
So as we were going through and talking about the different things and such, you'll take note of how many times Brian was connecting with what I was talking about, and in the conversation and talking about the football side of it, even though he really isn't into the sport, but he's talking about that and talking about the location and just really trying to connect and put a person at ease. And when you have the right person on the other end of the line, a person can do that. Sometimes I've had people who are as the role that Brian was playing earlier, they're even more guarded and basically, get back, just give me what I want and, stay back.
It's like, and I hate to use this analogy, although I love to at the same time. It's like women. Some women like to be treated one way. Some women like to be treated another way. It's your job as the man, and no offense, girls who are watching, it's your job as the man to figure out what woman you're talking to.
Yeah, very much so.
So it's that way. You need to know who your audience is. You need to feel them out quick and go with it. Now, this person's telling me things about, the area and, it's here and it's the family. Then I know, hey, yeah, I can jump in here. I can talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
So I can. If I'm not being offered anything at all, well, then, I know we're guarded or we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. No, second base. We're still on home plate here.
Yeah.
So
the pitcher is still winding up. We haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
And
lucky to get the first base at this point.
Yeah.
So
and there are times where you
feel
don't.
it out.
Yeah, and there's times you just don't get to first base. While we were doing the things, there were people in the chat, saying that you should bring up do you match prices or I saw prices of here and there, and yeah, that is definitely you definitely will have people who will do that and play that card for you.
What I will say is, if he would have led with the question of, well, how much does it cost? This is what my answer would have been. But well, typically we're somewhere between $1,000 and 1,800. Now that's on average. It can be more, but it really just kind of depends on the scope of work and what your needs and wants are. So let's find out what's going on here and see if we can put together a solid number for you.
And if you
That would
guys,
be my response.
and if you guys go back and replay the beginning of that, you'll notice that Brian didn't really give me much of an opportunity because he started asking questions and things, and I wanted to. I don't remember how I started.
I wasn't trying to distract you from asking
you
how
weren't.
much.
But you just did a wonderful job of building off what I gave you, and because of the natural flow of the conversation, is that it really didn't become an issue, or it didn't become a question, a burning question. And granted, for some people, it's going to be a burning question because that's all they're going to base their decision off. And
Yeah, right. Sometimes it's, well, how much does it cost? It's like, well, you tell them, well, it's between this and this. Well, why is it so much?
yeah,
Well,
or what's
I got to go through that whole thing. I mean, and I've done that, but ultimately, all I really want to do is play at your wedding, man. Come on,
and that's and that's the thing in the phone calls and such that I've been getting in the last 3 months for 2018. I haven't been, I've been getting to people who are like, hey, we open for this date and we're just kind of wanting the price, and we start talking about things, and that wanting the price, and that's the end of our price conversation until later in the conversation. And
Right.
how much the deposit and balance do? Those were things I was thinking about at the end. We could have done how do we go about booking the service and doing that kind of stuff. But by the time you get to the point of where Brian had that conversation, that there's a high percentage chance, as Brian said, that they're going to be booking because we had a good.
Well, you can't screw it up at that point. If they're already hot on it, it doesn't matter. I mean, some people will say things like, well, they won't even say, yeah, I think this is the way we want to go. What they will say is, so where do we go from here? Do you send us a contract, or do we give you a deposit? They won't say yes. They'll just say that, which is the same thing as saying yes. So, it's like, yeah, we'll just, we'll just put this in paper and you're done. I mean, that's for your peace of mind and my peace of mind. But as far as I'm concerned, you're in. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the books right now, so nobody can have your date. And they like that too.
Yeah.
I'm going to block this out for you. I'm going to block this out for you, so no one else can have it.
And that having limited supply, i.e., one show, and that I'm going to put your name on it, in essence, pencil your name in.
It belongs to you.
And it's like, ooh, we don't want to lose this. I like what he said.
The date belongs to you.
And they get excited.
I say those words. The date belongs to you. No one else can have it. Mm-hmm. And they love that. They have ownership. They've taken ownership at that point. But honestly, I mean, like I've said before so many times, I want to work with people who want to work with me. Mm-hmm. That's really what I want to do. I don't want to talk somebody into working with me. If you want to work with me, I want you to work with me. If you don't want to work with me, please call someone else. Let's not do this anymore. But the character that John was playing on the phone sounds like somebody I'd love to work with. They sound cool, easy, cool, relaxed. Mm-hmm. I like that. That's somebody I want to work with. Now, if this guy would have been a little more leery of me or trying to challenge me, which some people do.
Very much so.
I'm not going to work very hard on that one. I'm just not, because I probably don't want to work with these people anyway. Mm-hmm. There's a photo booth gig that I got a call on from an agent, and the client is just out of the gate. They're just kind of, is apprehensive the word? They're just very leery of everything, and they're challenging everything. And it's almost like they're looking for something to complain about before I've done anything.
Yes.
I really hope that doesn't get booked. I don't want to work with these people. This just sounds like a loser. No matter what I do, it sounds like I'm going to lose. Now, the character that John just played on the phone, on the other hand, I want to work with this person. This is a win. This is cool. Mm-hmm. I'm too old to deal with mean, bitter people who are just angry. I'm not doing it anymore.
And an additional good reason for that is that people like the character, the role that I was playing, those types of people are the ones who are going to appreciate what you do, because, I came into it and it's like, I'm not really sure. I'm a little apprehensive about it. And you're coming in and being reassuring, giving good ideas and helping, think through things logically, which, these are the things we do all the time as DJs. But now, because of you doing that, I'm going to be the type of person who's going to say, God, that Brian Red guy, he was our DJ, and he just really, took the concerns away and helped us put together a wonderful day. And we had a fabulous time. And the important things to me, I didn't want to have a stressful event. I wanted to have fun and make it memorable. And that's what Brian's bringing to the table in that conversation. It came through is that's where we're going to be.
That's really how my calls go usually. That's what they are.
Oh, for sure.
And sometimes I'm very casual. I've said this before. I take my cues from stand-up comedy when it comes to this. I used to try to be an announcer. I used to try to be, this personality that was like an alter ego of myself. Now I'm just myself. And I think people appreciate that. And I'm not pressuring anybody. I'm here to help. I want to help you. I don't want to take from you. I don't want to take advantage of you. I want to help you. If I can, I want to help you. If I can't, that's okay. We can shake hands and part friends. One thing that I do want to point out about the conversation, both conversations actually, we didn't really discuss equipment much.
No.
Not much. I mean, microphones. Yeah. Got them. 2 systems. Yeah. Got them. Yeah. I do lighting. I do sound. No problem. I offer architectural lighting. Above and beyond that, we didn't get geeky about it. We didn't talk about, I've got this system or that system that's important. Because who cares?
Who cares? Yeah, exactly. That would not
when
have
you
been.
Go to your yeah, but when you got to get your car fixed, you go to the mechanic. You don't ask him if he's got Matco or Snap-on or Craftsman tools. Do you care? You want your car fixed? Who cares? As long as my car is repaired, when I pick it up, I'm a happy guy. I don't care what brand screwdriver you use to do that.
I do. Do you have Craftsman toolboxes?
Yeah, but you're weird.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have Craftsman toolboxes? Oh, I'm sorry. I got to take my car elsewhere.
I got to take it elsewhere because PSR likes black and red Craftsman.
It's got to be black and red Craftsman.
Because he's ADHD about it. Yeah, I know.
Otherwise, you guys could spray your toolboxes, and I'll come back later today, and then we'll talk. Okay.
I can't see the chat, but was any of this helpful tonight?
I think so. I think that gave them a couple of different perspectives on phone calls, and how to work with it, and even as we get back to it, it's the finding people you like to work with. And as Brian and I were playing a role where he was the potential client, and we got to a point in that type of client that Brian was playing, I would have probably have given him a price and brushed him off, and I would probably given him a higher price because that's not the type of person that I can thrive working with. So
but I wanted to book you. Yeah. My character wanted you.
Yeah,
he really did. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah,
he did.
He
just wanted to know how much it's going to cost him because the only thing he had to do. That's all this guy had to do was book you. That's it.
That's it. Yep.
And he wanted to do it as quickly as possible. I tried to give you those cues, so you're like, okay, this guy just wants to book a DJ and he wants to be done with it and go back to watching football. That's all he wants to do, because the wife and the mother-in-law are going to handle the rest of it. So all I got to do is tell this guy, look, I'll take care of everything for you. Don't even worry about it. This is what's going to cost you. Is that cool? If that's cool, I'm your guy. I'm sending you a contract and done. That'd have been an easy book for you, John. I'm just telling you. It would have been easy for you.
Yeah, and I've had weddings like that have been quote an easy book like that, where it's someone who just wants to be basically book and be done. And sometimes those weddings have been great, and sometimes they have been the ones at the end of the night. It's like, oh my God, I hate myself for taking this wedding because
here would have been a cool part about taking that wedding. Number one, I'm the one who signed the contract, so I'm the one you got to answer to. You didn't got to worry about my wife or my mother-in-law who's a pain in the ass. You worry about me, and all I care about is if there's music and they're dancing. I'd have been the dream client, and you didn't even catch on to that. I was trying to give you all the clues. Just saying.
Yeah.
Now you were an easy client. You were just a nice guy. You're looking for a DJ. You didn't commit to anything, and that's fine too. I didn't press you for a commitment. I don't want to do that.
And that was actually one of the areas in which, when we were doing that, is I wanted to kind of see at the end of which direction you were going to take that, because sometimes we get to that point and it's like, okay, I don't want to let them go. I've got someone who is kind of a hot on a line here, and I don't want them to go and talk to or change their mind, or it's because the more time that expires from our conversation to when they get back to me, it could be time that they're changing their mind or they're finding someone else or what have you.
Well, I thought you were pretty hot on me, so what I was doing is giving you the takeaway. The takeaway is when you do exactly that. You take it off the table. It's like, okay, fine. whatever you want to do. So now it's up to him. He does it or he doesn't do it.
Yep.
Now, what I could have done is kind of rub my thumb into it a little bit and said, that's fine. But just so you understand, I can't make a reservation for you. If somebody else calls me in 5 minutes and wants that date, I got to give it to them.
Yep.
The only way I can give you any kind of reservation is with a commitment.
And that the natural thing for me in that conversation would have been to ask, okay, what is the next step? And I was thinking about doing that, but I didn't want to go into, because it's very similar with all of us with the retainer contract, what have you. But that would have been my natural thing, is to follow up and say, hey, with that, and then that would have opened the door for you to say, and it sounds like we're a great fit. I'd really love to work with you, and we're going to create a great date. But I can't hold the date, and if somebody calls,
right,
and that's.
But I have something like to do. That's like so Dale Carnegie. I still do it. I can't stand that stuff. But no. I mean, I hope it gave some people some ideas, but my style is definitely a lot different than a lot of people's styles when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Let's see. Somebody was asking about PayPal. Yes, actually, I've had 2 clients, because I have on my DJ event planner, I have it set up where it's with my PayPal account, so they can actually go in there and make a payment. And I've had 2 of my clients that have paid their balances on PayPal the week or 10 days beforehand. Somebody else had mentioned a retainer, talking about that. They had a retainer of like $150 deposit and then paid 2 weeks in advance. My recommendation with that is to check with your bank and find out if they pay by check 2 weeks in advance, if it is a bad check, if it would clear or get bounced back however many times, and you would find out before the day. I had a situation where I got a check 10 days beforehand. I thought that was plenty of time. And it turned out that our bank would send the check through, it bounced, come back, and then when they'd send it through one more time, which meant that like the Tuesday after the wedding, the check came back as insufficient funds. And I was basically hosed in that situation. So make sure you check and know how quickly. In this digital age, it should be quicker than it was then. That was, I think, 10, 12 years ago. But make sure you know. Brian, your thoughts on retainers? How much do you typically like to charge? Do you go with a lesser retainer amount, or do you go with a closer to half? What's your thought on that?
I like 10%.
Okay.
And the reason I like it, and a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, no, you got to get half. And then you want the balance X amount of weeks before the event. Everybody's got their own opinions on this. But in the back of my mind, I've always thought to myself, what happens if something happens to me? And I got all these dates on the books, and I've spent this money.
Yeah.
Now I got to return it. My friend Dave had that health problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Now, Dave does half retainer, and then the other half like a month before the event. So Dave had nothing to give me for an event because he had spent it. And that's fine. I don't mind doing that for Dave and floating him on that. We'll take care of it at a later date. But I don't want to have that kind of stress in a hospital bed, because when I had my stroke, I didn't have that kind of stress because I only did 10%. It wasn't a problem. And, even if the people who came in and took those gigs only got the balance of that 10%, that's not the case. But if that's what happened, they would have been satisfied with that because there was plenty in there.
Sure.
They weren't getting hosed,
Yeah, but that's definitely
the retainer for me isn't about me making any money. The retainer for me is about mental ownership.
Yep.
And once you put money down on something, you have mental ownership of it. The amount of money doesn't matter. Just so it's significant enough where they don't want to walk away from it. So if you charge $1,000 for an event and you take 10%, which is $100, they have $100 down on that. And that's mental ownership. Mm-hmm. So
somebody was asking,
also gives the contract some glue.
And that's, the getting some money on a retainer is part of that, making a contract stick. And then again, if you ever get to the point where you have to defend it in court, that's part of that.
Talking like a car guy. Sorry about that.
So Paul had asked a little bit about what percentage of weddings do we book on the phone versus email and text and such. And I was just replied to a little bit to that, is that this particular year, most of my weddings, I think that most all of them, I think one didn't come through the online stuff. It didn't come through either Facebook ads or an online ad. So they would come in and they go to request information, and then we have our conversation. One was a text one. That was this summer. We started with text, and that was communication. I know one was a phone. Otherwise, most of them were some variation of text, email, messenger. And messenger early in the spring, kind of in that April, May, when I was really hitting the Facebook ads, I was getting people, I was getting 2 or 3 a week, people direct messaging me through Facebook to my Facebook page and saying, hey, are you available? And da-da-da-da-da. So, and I know you mentioned in our conversation about texting, and I think that was a fabulous thing to bring up in that conversation, because in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, my wife loves to text. This is going to be a great way for you guys to be able to connect and meet or to plan.
I suggest it now for a couple of different reasons. One, you can get a text at 2 in the morning and it's not going to disrupt anything.
Yeah.
2, I've gotten so many junk calls lately that I don't want to answer the phone.
Yep.
I seem like, I answer the phone, hello, and you got to wait a second, and then this recording comes on or somebody hits the button. They're finding loopholes to go around the don't call list on this stuff. And it's just become so disruptive. I don't always answer calls that I feel like aren't real people. And unfortunately, I might be missing some real calls like that. So I tell people that, look, have you gotten junk calls lately? Because I get a lot of them. Do you text? Cool. Then this is what you do. Text me. And as soon as I can, I'll either text you back or call you back. And yeah. I mean, if their name's in my phone, that's different. But it almost helps eliminate the junk calls. And sometimes it's just a simple exchange. You don't need to make a call with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, by the way, can you do this or this? Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll take care of it. I did it today. As a matter of fact, I was texting with my wedding client for, I think it's the 21st of October, perhaps?
Sure.
Whatever that day was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's coming up here.
Yeah, I was texting with him today. Yeah, see, this was from a wedding client today.
Sure.
You can't see it.
No.
There we go.
Yep.
But yeah, all text. We didn't talk at all.
Mm-hmm.
We'd established that that's how we're going to communicate. She liked it. I liked it. So that's what we do.
Oh,
it's cool.
I should have asked you if we could do a mic drop too. Do you do? I heard about this guy who does a mic drop. Can we do it?
Oh, that's something Howie Darkstar does.
Oh, you know Howie.
He's a rock star. Are you kidding me?
Everybody knows Howie. Oh. Well, gang, thank you very much for being with us tonight. This was only part of what we were going to cover tonight. Yeah, we ended up going, but that's okay. I think it turned out very, very good, and it was a good example of going through and having those conversations. So hopefully, you guys picked up a couple of things, or at least, if nothing else, saw what you shouldn't do. I don't think I have met face to face. The question was, did we book the shows out like in our office or in a virtual office or something to that effect? I don't think I've been face to face with any couples this year, and excluding a planning session or two. I've had a couple of them that have been Zoom calls, and most of them have been the planning side, and that's what we're going to dig into. I think next time we do this.
The stuff I got for the rest of the year, aside from some subcontracting gigs, are either repeat clients or people I know really well already, or solid referrals that don't require it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
don't require a meeting. And
again, we got to look at the demographic of the people who are coming up. That the younger millennial generation would probably prefer to do a quick little video chat, because they view their time almost as more valuable in some aspects than we view our time. So if we have,
I like meeting with clients. I really do. I feel like nothing beats face to face.
Oh, for sure.
You cannot beat it. And sometimes with some of these folks, it's
tough because they're traveling an hour or so to go meet, because even in...
Well, if that's the case, yeah.
Yeah, and if they've got to travel, half hour to an hour, and I've got to travel, we've done the video things, and it has worked out well. And it's one of those things, okay, at 7 o'clock, we'll log in. We can talk for 25, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it may be. And once it's done, both of us we'll hang up and we're on to, whatever else we're doing in our lives compared to, okay, now we're going to have to go drive and we got to go to the coffee shop. And then, you're at a coffee shop, you probably should order something, or, I'm going over to their house, and now they have to spend 2 hours before I get there, making sure the house is cleaned up enough for company to come in. And there's just so many little variables that I think we're going to see more of the younger generation really embracing the idea of doing a virtual meeting online like this. But that's my thought. Cool. I think we're good. I think we've gotten through all the questions. So, yeah. Wonderful.
Hopefully this helps somebody.
So, thank you much for being with us tonight. And we will, next Tuesday, Lori and I are going to be in Las Vegas with the Wedding MBA. So, I think we're going to have to talk. I was wondering, Brian, if we should see about maybe doing a music show next week. Or something. So I'll talk to you about this, and we'll figure something out. So, but
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we aren't going to be doing our regular show. We'll be doing something. See if we can do something a little bit different for next Tuesday night. So,
all right.
Have yourself a wonderful weekend and such, because I won't be seeing you tomorrow night. We have Dave and Jeremy at 10 o'clock Eastern. We'll catch you then. Good night.